Hi everyone, Jen here. It is Lunar Day 9, which is good for taking care of the house and home, and good for happiness in the family. Yesterday was Lunar Day 8, which is good for finding treasure in the earth, which was part of what I did do yesterday. But also, I took some time to connect with another magical worker who I'll be doing some work with, and I can't wait to tell you all about that in a few months. Now, yesterday's video, I decided to invite you to be part of some of my Samhain rituals. Yes, it's the Southern Hemisphere Samhain. Technically, I think it's the 5th, but I think there is enough tradition to run with doing it through the 1st, the 30th and the 1st. So I'm happy to do that. I brought you into part of it, and I read you the chthonic Hermes prayer from the Orphic hymns, as he guides the spirits of the dead. And I thought that was really quite appropriate to Samhain and the work that I've been doing lately. Today, I guess I've been getting my house in order, but I will say it has mostly been a digital thing. Thank you to Raddy for letting me know that my audio was only on one channel on these videos and I had to fix the setting on my microphone. And thanks to Jen, who let me know my website had gone kaput. So I spent today working on rebuilding the website, uninstalling plugins, reinstalling plugins, trying to get everything to work, going for a new WordPress theme, all of those things. So that was quite a few hours work today to get all that fixed up. So that's done now, but it did mean that a lot of other things didn't get done today. I've heard from our engineer for the podcast, and he will have the new podcast ready for us first thing next week, so that's great. And one more update: those of you may have seen on the Instagram TV the making of this ceramic candle holder. So basically, I took the plants and I impressed them into the porcelain, and then it was allowed to set up, and then it went off to be fired. So it's had its first firing, which is a bisque firing, what they call a biscuit firing. And it will now have some colour added. So what I've done here is, this is porcelain, and over the top I put a wash of cobalt and copper oxide, and then I wiped it back so that it stayed in the ingrained parts. So that is what I will do here. To add to the magical ritual of it, the liquid that I will mix the oxides up with will be a hydrosol, and I will paint that on, wipe it back, and then clear gloss glaze, and it will go off for another firing. So hopefully it will come back looking, something like this. Kiln gods are fickle creatures, and no matter how many offerings you give them, they still sometimes decide to do things completely differently. So that's the intent with the candle jar. Yeah, and that will be part of my altar. The aim is that I will have one for each season from the garden, so I'm really excited to continue that. I had a few other things come back from the kiln today in the bisque firing that need to have glaze tests done on them, and other things. Tomorrow we're going to mix up some more glazes to do things there. Ceramics is not a quick process. You can't just do it, it goes in the kiln, it's done. It has to dry, it has to have one firing, then you have to do another process to it, then it has to have another firing. So a lot like magic, it's like the layering. Those who've been listening to me since the very early days of the first podcast will know that I'm really big on layering magic. So, you know, for example, I will take a piece of string and we will twine it, and then we'll knot it, and then we'll anoint it with some, sorry about the clapping, then we'll anoint it with some tincture or things like that, you know, and that's the spell. Or we can take some watercolor paper, we can spray it or soak it in some hydrosol, then put our sigils onto it, then take a piece of cord that's been soaked in the hydrosol, wrap that up and bind it. We can put herbs inside that piece of paper and roll them up. You know, we can then make a sharpened stick out of some of the thing and stab it through. You know, all of these things are layering the powers on into the spells. I love to use as much of the plant as I possibly can when I make things. So I'll show you something. This is a rather simple witch's cross. It is made from mugwort and wax, and in the wax there is mugwort as well. There's herbs that's been moulded into the wax and massaged, kneaded into the wax. I'm massaging the wax. But yeah, kneaded into the wax. There's a crystal you cannot really see, and you probably won't, embedded in the wax as well. The mugwort, you know, it was made over an incense of mugwort, and it's layered and layered and layers of mugwort protection that sits over my altar. Using all the plant, you know, it's just the best way to make magic is to take all of those things and layer them together for as much power as you possibly can. So tell me how you layer your magic and how you choose to give your spells more oomph. I'd love to hear about it. Let me know what you thought of yesterday's video, and I'm going to go work on my newsletter and get that out to you guys over the weekend, with some very exciting exclusive releases to newsletter customers only. So please check that out. Oh, one more update. Here's some of those smudge sticks that we made the other day. All dried out, but still nice and green. And yeah, they'll be popped into orders as we go. Thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you tomorrow.